OhhSoValid, and I'm here with Miss Monique Martin at Harlem Stage, USA, right?
Yes.
In Harlem, USA.
Yes.
So, Miss Martin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Call me Monique.
Okay, no problem.
And I am a California native.
Wow.
Harlem resident.
Okay.
And really happy to, after living in this city for over 20 years,
Okay.
Working for the first time in Harlem. I've lived in Harlem and I've worked all over the city, but this is my first opportunity to actually bring my work to the Harlem community. So it's really exciting. I'm looking at Harlem through a different lens. Just walking through the community now, I see it differently as being the director of programming here at Harlem Stage and looking at the community differently and how can we engage them in a deeper way.
Okay. So what is Harlem Stage?
Harlem Stage is a performing arts venue that is in a beautiful landmark building that was
built. I saw it outside. Oh, wow.
It's gorgeous. And what's interesting is from the outside, sometimes people can't tell what is it. It looks like a castle. It looks like a fortress or something that may not be open or accessible. And that is, one, a tribute to the design aesthetic of the 1800s and what materials were used and how the designers thought about this building, which is originally built as part of the Croton Aqueduct and as a water pumping station. So it's a utilitarian building that has an actual function of water flowing from upstate New York into the city, and in the 1800s, at a time where people were dying of waterborne diseases. So it has this this old world sensibility and structure to it with a modern twist. That's what I like to see. Yeah. Where fresh water used to flow, now art and ideas flow.
Nice.
So
I like that.
There is multidisciplinary art that we present.
Explain that a little bit.
That means that we present art that has cross-disciplinary elements. So a dancer with a live band.
Okay.
We've done film with a live score.
Okay.
Or actually, we want to do film with a live score. So if there
something
are
like the
artists
film
out
harmonica. Something like that. Film harmonica.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. And there's some historical films where I'm kind of jumping around a bit, but what comes to mind is we will be embarking on a 2.5-year celebration of the Harlem Renaissance Centennial in fall.
I have a question about that later on.
So there are a lot of that was a time when there were silent films.
Okay.
You know, and so if we can, I'm interested in how to put a modern twist on the Harlem Renaissance aesthetic.
Okay.
And I want it to be referential to that time, but to feel fresh and not nostalgic. So if there are artists out there that have ideas around putting sound to film or live music to film, there's just a myriad of opportunities there for artists to engage in the theme of Harlem Renaissance.
What led you to be programming director of Harlem Stage?
I am coming to Harlem Stage. I've been here about 1.5 years, so I'm still learning the lay of the land. And I'm coming after 10 years of working with Summer Stage, which is very different. Huge outdoor festival in Central Park and in parks all over the 5 boroughs. And after 10 years, I wanted to find a way to support artists in a deeper way. With the festival, you are generally programming the top artists and artists that are already, you know, I mean, we've had everyone from Beyonce did a concert with Good Morning America, who's a partner with Summer Stage, and I'm not trying to promote Summer Stage, even though I have a lot of love for them. Those are still my friends and colleagues.
That's your history.
Yeah, and I wanted to find a way. How can I support artists in a deeper way? How can I commission artists? It's something that we try to do at Summer Stage, but in a festival environment, you really can't. And a lot of artists, particularly artists of color, often don't have the resources to create new work.
Very true.
Or to expand work. And that's what I want to do. And that's something that Harlem Stage is known for. It's a commissioning organization. It's an organization for incubation, for artists to come with ideas, and we will help them develop them, help them connect with other resources, whether that's
something like mentorship.
Yeah, mentorship is a big part of it. Perhaps it's a musician that wants to work with someone who works in technology,
okay,
to bring that layer. Or if there's a dancer who needs a costume designer or wants to think through, we have this idea, but how do we flesh it out? How do we make it clear to the audience? This is my idea, but is that translating to the audience?
And you know what's so funny? I always talk to people about that. I always say, you can have this idea, but how do you execute it? How do you manifest that? So, you know, with that being said, you are able to do that now for the Black community, right?
Yeah.
And other, you know, races as well.
Right.
But now you have a focal point. You have something that you're able to really like bring to life. And it's such a jewel.
Right. And it often is not only money, because artists often think, you know, if I only had $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever the amount of money is, then I could advance my work. But what I have found is artists also need mentorship.
They do.
As you've talked about. They also need rehearsal space just to play and not just to have an end result of a product, but what is a process?
Yes.
To feel like we have enough time to fail, because failure leads to success. And you need to be able to say, you know what, that didn't work. Let's scrap all of that. And if you don't have the support, then you're kind of working in a little bit of pressure and a little desperation, because you have this amount of time and this amount of money, so I need to at the end of this, have something to show. And we don't want always that to be the experience, that the process is really what the experience is all about.
Very true.
So we do that through our Waterworks program, which is our commissioning program, and we also present artists.
Nice. So since we've talked about the artists, or some artists that you are looking to have come to Harlem Stage, what is the next season looking like? What is the spring looking like? What is 2019 looking like for Harlem Stage?
One of the things that contribute to the success of this organization and other organizations, I'm sure, is partnership and collaboration.
Very true.
So we have a partnership with Manhattan School of Music, and we do 2 concerts with them, with their student population, and their students are incredible. We also bring our resident artist who's been with us for 3 years. He's finishing his last year, Christian Scott Atunde Ajwa, who is a brilliant composer.
I like the way you said his name.
Yeah, and he's from New Orleans, so he brings his New Orleans culture
to it.
Yes, and his family comes from a family of chiefs and the Mardi Gras Indians. So he brings that to his artistry, and he does master classes. So we do a master class and a workshop. We will be doing one in next month, actually, in a middle school in Washington Heights. So we bring culture also outside of the walls of Harlem Stage. The spring season will have Christian Scott and he's doing a festival, he's doing a conversation, he's doing a master class. So we also are looking at ways that we can engage artists in a deeper way, so they have multiple opportunities to perform and engage, and it's
show
not a
themselves
one-off
to the world.
Yeah, and it's not just a one-off concert. So Christian is coming. We have a partnership with Carnegie Hall. They are doing a festival. Yeah, this is our second year with Carnegie Hall, and the festival, and the festival theme this year for Carnegie Hall is migration. So what we're going to focus on is migration from the Caribbean, the Latin Caribbean, to Harlem, El Barrio. So we have the Curtis Brothers and a hip hop group, Circa 95. They're going to be on a shared bill. We're partnering with the Caribbean Cultural Center, so there'll be a conversation on another date with Caribbean Cultural Center. We have a Pride event that's going to end our season, so we can look at, there's a lot happening in the LGBTQI community.
The acronym is so...
Yeah, it continues to grow and evolve as people find, different expressions that they want, how they want to express themselves. And identify themselves and name themselves. So we had our first Pride event this past June, and it was very successful, and we're doing another one. It'll be annual now. So we are focusing this coming June on Black men from the South. So we have jazz, we have hip hop, we have classical music, we have dance. Our dance festival this season is focused on hip hop and really the power of hip hop, which started as a social dance. It started in basketball courts, on the basketball courts and battles, and now you can see hip hop dance, you know, at the Joys, at, you know, esteemed stages across this city and the country and the world. So I wanted to just honor those artists that are creating new work in what is called hip hop dance, and investigate, what does that mean? What does it look like? Do you need to use hip hop music for your dance? Is it all, you know, top rock and you know, some of the classic styles of dance? And what we've seen is that there's artists, we have a tap dancer.
And I was just thinking about that the other day. I'm like, tap is not as big as it used to be when I was growing up. I'm not gonna tell my age, but we used to, like, that was one of the things you wanted to do. You wanted to do tap, and then we had, what was it, Savion Glover?
Yes.
On Sesame Street.
Yes. And also his Bringing the Noise, Bringing the Funk.
Yeah.
And the tap dancer actually that's going to be performing in our dance festival is one of the original members of Bringing the Noise, Bringing the Funk. So you have artists that grew up in the hip hop generation, so their work is going to reflect that aesthetic. And I wanted to just honor that and put hip hop, you know, in a nice space, because oftentimes people think that it's street dance or you're not trained if you do hip hop dance, and that's not true.
You know your stuff. You know your stuff.
That's right.
I'm telling you. Because you know why? Like right now, hip hop is not getting that that positive light. You know, it came from a era where it was like gritty. You know, it started off in that sense, and you see a lot of these rappers getting killed, overdosing, going to jail. You're now turning it around and putting it into a place where it's going to be shown in a positive way. Like you're giving them the real structure of what it should be, not what it is right now.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's still powerful. It still reflects voices that can be on the margins. I think where we are in this country around hip hop is it's been so commercialized. Like once it was on commercials selling cars and fast food and, you know,
in arenas during a movie,
right. Then artists then want the money.
Of course.
And you see artists in other countries that are still battling, that are still looking at artists from here and being inspired by them, but their culture hasn't been commercialized because their countries support the arts, so they don't need to do a fast food commercial in order to express their artistry. They actually have funding. So now I think we're getting back to the essence of hip hop culture, which is about resistance and which is about telling your own story and controlling your own narrative.
Harlem, as we know, is the epicenter of the Black Renaissance, right? So, and we know it, you know, it sets the trend for the rest of the world as far as the Black movement goes. Do you think that it's going to be a place for the new millennials in their own personal renaissance of the Black community? Do you think that the new Black millennials will see this space as like a home front for them to live out their cultural diversity and show the world who they are? Do you think that's the next step for Black millennials of this generation?
I do, and I also think I have seen that millennials want to participate in what that experience is. They don't want to just take it and this is the menu, so I want, you know, this appetizer, this main course, and this dessert. They want to say, well, what about this? And I like that. You know, I like that there's this a la carte approach. We may not want to be part of the entire experience, but this is where we can fit in. And I think, too, that millennials in Harlem specifically haven't found us. And so there are some that have come that have been a part of this institution, and we can do a better job of meeting, and I'm speaking more specifically to the new Harlemites, the new millennials that have moved in that didn't grow up in Harlem.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want this space to be a place where they can see, oh, this is a performing arts center in my community that I want to support and that I know that I can get quality programming. I don't have to go downtown for all of my performing arts needs.
So, Monique, I like to close my interview with a quote, right? You can have your very own or one that you admire. What is the quote that you'd like to give me or tell me?
Wow, that threw me for a loop. A quote. I would say that, to connect to the disruptor thing, I'll quote Dr. Martin Luther King.
Okay.
And that is, injustice everywhere is injustice. Injustice anywhere is injustice for everyone. It's something like that. That's not it. But what basically it translates to, if there's something happening in East New York or Palestine or Israel or the Bronx, it still impacts Harlem. It still impacts you. It still impacts me. So if we can see each other as our brothers and sisters, then we can actually move humanity forward.
I love that quote. And it makes sense.
Thank you.
So thank you. Again, it's your girl, OhhSoValid, and I'm here with Programming Director of Harlem Stage, Miss Monique Martin. I really appreciate this interview. Like, you gave me some history, you gave us some knowledge, you gave us like that hip hop segment, that part right there, you know your stuff.
Thank you.
You know your
Thank
stuff.
you so much for including me in your platform and everything that you're doing. I hope you come back.
We will. Listen, I was telling your PR, Sin, that I am now family.
Oh, good. Yes.
So, again, this is a Valid Review, and we're here at Harlem Stage with Programming Director Monique Martin, and it was a wonderful interview. I thank you for it.
Thank you.